Hi folks, Steven here. So I wanted to give a summary of my second day here at Anime Milwaukee 2018. I actually had a fairly open schedule. All the press session stuff happened yesterday for me. So today I could pretty much go to whatever I decided was important to cover. So after sleeping in a little bit, Friday night I had been editing an excerpt from one of the press sessions and getting that up, so I was up actually fairly late. But I got my sleep, and then I went to the Wisconsin Center, and I went to a couple of Pokemon panels. Now these were put on by Trainers Rendezvous folks, or at least the guy who's been in charge of that for the last few years. You may remember we did an interview with him a couple years back. But in any case, he was running two panels. One of them was Pokemon Bingo. And the way this worked is, as you can see here, you just kind of fill in a sheet with a bunch of Pokemon names from the first 151, and then they would draw them from a bowl and sort of, give out prizes if you match them in the right order. They gave out some cards, which you can see the ones I got over here. Nothing super extravagant. I actually kind of would like the prizes to be a little more substantial, but I mean, they don't have to be extravagant or anything like that, but if I was giving advice to them on that one, maybe something a little more than cards. But in any case, I did still kind of like that. It was interesting realizing where some of my... I knew all the names, but I didn't pick them as evenly as I thought I did, so if that makes any sense. The second thing they did is called, finding your spirit Pokemon, and what this actually is they would have people give sort of a range of generations, and they would go on random.org and they would pick a random number and find what Pokemon that corresponded to. But if that was all it was, it probably wouldn't have been too interesting. So what they did on top of that is they would have a picture drawn for that Pokemon and give that to the person. They didn't claim to be super great artists or anything, and of course this was done in a very short timeline, but the effort was really nice, and that was a great way to sort of make it a little more interesting than just picking out Pokemon at random effectively. So after that, I decided I would go to the vendor hall for a little bit. I wasn't sure exactly where it was. I did have to get a little bit of direction to go there. But they had a pretty decent array in terms of the number of locations or number of shops that they had in there. They had plushes, they had some, DVDs and stuff like that, manga books. But they were missing anyone that was selling retro video games. Now, I know this is an anime convention, and that's technically not the same thing, but usually it's a pretty safe bet there'll be someone selling retro video games there. I don't know if they had a policy on that or something. I guess I should have asked, but oh well. So I didn't really wind up buying anything and left a little bit disappointed, but, that's just how things are sometimes. So after that, I went downstairs to the gaming area because they were doing a Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament. They had done Smash 4 yesterday, but I didn't have the time to go down and check that out. So I didn't play in the tournament, but I did watch the finals. The guy who won, Isaiah, did fairly well for himself. Now, he was coming from the loser's bracket in the finals, so he actually had to win 2 best-of-5 matches. And the first one, I should say, actually went pretty close down to the wire in the 5th game. They were both down to 1 stock, and it just he was able to come out on top with his Falco over the other guy's Fox. In the second set of finals games, he switched over to Marth, and you don't use Roy in Melee, from what I understand. Not a very good character, despite being ostensibly similar. But in any case, he used Marth, and he actually seemed to do better there against the other guys who was still playing Fox. He won 3 matches to 1 match out of that best-of-5 series. And I did talk to him afterwards. We should be setting up a written interview. I hope to get that up on the blog within a week or so. But yeah, so there were a few hiccups in there and over this weekend, but that's sort of the way conventions are. The staff has been really nice and really helpful, so I don't have anything really to complain about there. Just, you hit bumps in the road. But if you have any questions, go ahead and give us a comment. All right, folks, thanks.